Today I thought I'd show you how to make gluten-free hot water crust pastry. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the pastry that you have on pork pies or gala pies or just meat pies, and it's like a thick but flaky, super tasty pastry that you don't often see gluten-free, but it's really easy to make, so I'm going to show you how to do that today. Traditionally, this pastry doesn't contain egg, and also, as the name suggests, it's a hot water crust pastry, so you don't chill it. However, because it's gluten-free, I have eggs in my pastry today, and I also, although I do have it as hot initially, I chill it because it just helps with the strength of the pastry, which is what we want with gluten-free. We want it to be as good as regular pastry, and honestly, this taste, texture, everything is just that. The full recipe for this is in my book, which I will link below so that you can find out all the measurements and all of that stuff, but I'm gonna go through it with you today in video format because it's just a little bit easier, isn't it? So first things first, we are going to look at the ingredients. Okay, let's start with the ingredients. There's not very many here and they're all very, very white. So firstly, we have some gluten-free plain flour or all-purpose flour. Then we've got a little bit of salt. We've got xanthan gum, which is really, really useful in terms of the structure of the pastry, so I definitely recommend that. We've got some milk here, then we've got a couple of eggs, and we have got some lard. Now you can use lard or butter for this. I just think lard is the traditional thing to use, and also it gives just a better flavour, to be honest. So that is literally all you'll need for the hot water crust pastry. So let's get making. So first things first, I'm gonna get all my dry ingredients into my bowl. So I've got my plain flour, I'm gonna put my xanthan gum in, and then my salt, and mix that all together. And then what I'll be doing is beating my eggs together and adding them to the centre. So I'll just make a little well now, and then I'm gonna pour my eggs into that. So I'm just gonna pour my egg into the middle here, and then I'm gonna put it to one side. I'm not gonna touch it, I'm not gonna mix it in any way, just completely leave it whilst I sort out my lard and my milk. Okay, so the next step is to heat up my lard and my milk. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add my lard to my saucepan, and we're gonna melt this, or we're gonna put this on at a sort of low to medium heat, and as soon as it starts to melt a little bit, then we'll add the milk. So you don't want the lard to be completely liquid, you just want it to be at the edges, you know, getting to the point where it looks like it's melting a little bit. Then just pour the milk in, and then we'll be melting it completely to like liquid form, and then it will be ready to pour into our other bowl, and then mix it all together and we're done. So it's not difficult. But yeah, I'm just gonna put this on a low to medium heat, just very briefly, until that lard, or butter if that's what you're using, starts to melt. And then we'll be adding our milk, but not yet. Okay, so you might be able to see that the lard has started to melt. You can see a bit of liquid, but it's not all completely melted. So at this point, I'm going to add my milk. And then on a very low heat, we'll we'll melt these all together. So here's my lard and my milk. It's melted really well together, and it is now time to add this to my big bowl of the dry ingredients and the egg, which I haven't mixed yet. So I'm gonna add this into there and mix it really, really thoroughly until it's completely incorporated. It should become sort of like a dough. It'll be quite oily, which is just obvious because you've got all the lard in there, but it should form a dough, which then will be ready to chill. Okay, so you can see that this has now formed a dough. It's an oily dough. It's not sticky, but it's oily. You'll see a bit of oil on your hands. So we're gonna wrap this in cling film now and then pop it in the fridge for an hour. If you leave it in there for longer than that, that's fine, but it needs to be about an hour because this just really helps this gluten-free hot water crust pastry to get the strength that it needs to make amazing little pies. So that's what the pastry feels like. Well, not that you can feel it, but you can see how it is. It's quite together. It's a really nicely well combined pastry, and it's nice and warm, not too hot. Obviously, I have poured lots of hot stuff into it, but it's all cooled down now, so it's easy to hold. So I'm gonna wrap this up and then put it in the fridge. How bloomin' simple is it to make gluten-free hot water crust pastry? It doesn't take any time at all. But if you'd like to see how to make pork pies with my pastry, then click up here. And if you'd like to try out making a different type of pastry, like my gluten-free rough puff pastry, then click up here. And I'll see you in the next video.